Welcome back to my channel, Star Booze.
Jimmy Page is one of the guitarists that Jimmy Page on guitar, riff master, the man behind Led, the rock god, the iconic sound of Zeppelin, retain in the greatest respect. When one of the best guitars throughout history, revealing his particular favorites, you are aware of their value. Focusing. And he simply adored it. Then we simply played it repeatedly. Often, since it was only the "we are both working." However, who is the most notable in his eyes? From rock to blues wizardry revolutionaries, his selections could startle you or validate what you've always suspected. Let's explore the guitarists, including Jimmy Page takes into account the light. Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix was held by Jimmy Page in the greatest respect, taking him into the best guitarist I've ever had played. Rix's talent profoundly touched Page. Creative methods and revolutionary contributions to rock music. The way he admired Rix was clear from his remarks after the tragic death of a legendary musician in 1970. Page conveyed his sadness, saying, "The best guitarist is gone. Rix was the only one any of us ever had." This feeling wasn't merely a mirror of individual loss, but additionally an recognition of the enormous influence Rix have on the music industry. The Rix impact on blues and rock music was deep, changing the electric guitar's potential and advancing the limits of expression and sound. His proficiency with feedback, distortion, and wah-wah impacts established new benchmarks for guitarists. Additionally, his performances, including as the iconic performance of the Star at Woodstock, the Spangled Banner was displayed. His skill at converting the guitar into a cultural and political voice expression. For Page, a musician who is well known for his own innovative methods and intricate arrangements, Rix was a degree of creativity that was both astounding and motivating and irreplaceable. Both musicians had a strong affinity for the blues as a genre that shaped their distinct fashions. Although Page was renowned for his complex riffs, strong lead vocals, and creative utilizing the studio as a tool, Rix provided a visceral, unadulterated vitality to his performances that combined the blues with rock with psychedelic effects in a manner that had never been heard previously. Like many others, Page's peers acknowledged that Rix was more than just a gifted musician. He was a force for change and revolution, the instrument's playing style and thought of. Rix's death at the age of 27 years old was a terrible time for the realm of music. Regarding Page and other artists of the era, it signaled the once-in-a-lifetime talent's departure whose possibilities appeared boundless. Chris's only 3 studio albums to their credit, while he was alive. Do you have any experience? Axis, electric and bold as Loveladyland. However, each was a work of art, clearly shown his capacity for blending technical proficiency combined with unadulterated passion. His live performances were just as captivating, brimming with improvisation, as well as a captivating stage presence that left viewers in awe. White, Clarence, one of the several Jimmy Page and other virtuosos have acknowledged, as time passes, Clarence White continues to out as a talented player. Method and distinct approach to the guitar made a lasting impression. Impression. Page identified White's exceptional talent, considering him to be an essential component of the intricate fabric of mastery of the guitar, a musician whose contributions to music, especially in country rock and bluegrass, influenced the development of the instrument. Clarence White was an innovative guitarist, renowned for his contributions to the Byrds and the Colonels of Kentucky. The capacity to smoothly combine conventional bluegrass methods with rock and his country influences distinguish him from his peers. White's accuracy, flexibility, and creative use of his use of electric and acoustic guitars made him a notable person in the 1960s and the early 1970s. His proficiency with flat picking transformed the playing of acoustic guitars, as well as his involvement with the BB bender and creation that made it possible for him to bend notes in a pedal on an electric guitar steel-like style, stretched the bounds of what could be done with the instrument. White's most outstanding contributions to the guitar, his revolutionary act was playing flat picking method. Prior to White, the bluegrass guitar was mostly used as a lead lines played on a rhythm instrument, mostly on a mandolin, banjo, or violin. However, White changed the guitar, turning into a lead instrument and creating a quick, expressive picking technique that enabled him to perform complex tunes with amazing clarity. This method impacted innumerable guitarists, especially in the bluegrass and country music, and Page acknowledged White's mastery of technology as anything that made him more than just competence in the field of artistic ability. Apart from his acoustic White's, work on the electric skills guitar was also a trailblazer. His application. He assisted in the BB Bender Grow with Gene Parsons, permitted him to produce steel-like fluid pedals curves that turned into a distinguishing feature of his voice. This innovation increased the guitar's talents, impacting players from a variety of genres. White's capacity to produce rising, moving melodies that were displayed using this device, his profound knowledge of musical qualities of phrase, and tonal nuance is something Page himself placed a great importance on in his own performance. Page's gratitude for White was more than just a technical expert. It was about musicality. White's performance was never only about technical or speed genius. It had to do with feeling, expression, and pushing the envelope of the instrument's capabilities. His late-night labor with the Byrds 1960s, especially on records such as Mr. Hyde, Dr. Byrds, and observed him combining rock, untitled folk, and country in a manner that was before its time. His work on the lead guitar in tunes such as Lover of the Bayou, Truck Stop Girl displayed a profound intensity of feeling that connected with both fans and other musicians. For Page, who has consistently supported participants that contribute creativity and genuineness in their work, Clarence White stood for the pinnacle of musicianship. His contributions to not all guitar music was technical accomplishments, but artistic declarations has influenced the sound of contemporary country rock and other genres. White's effect went well beyond his lifetime alongside guitarists from different, ear-sticking ideas from his work. White's life was tragically cut short when a drunk driver struck him in 1973, driver who was 29 years old. His premature death denied the music industry a genuinely extraordinary skill, yet his influence endures in the innumerable guitarists who keep learning and draw inspiration from his labor. Page's recognition of White's, his genius, puts him in the company of the greats, making certain that his input into the ever-changing skill of playing the guitar will never be overlooked. Amos Garrett. Many people think highly of Amos Garrett as an expert in delicacy and refinement in playing a guitar, a performer who brings a unique voice to each note he plays. His style, wording, and capacity to express intense feelings through his tool has elevated him to a highly prominent someone in the field of guitarists. Despite not being a well-known brand similar to some of his peers, Garrett's impact goes much beyond widespread acceptance, especially among individuals who value artistic expression of melodic guitar work that is emotive. Young among the pivotal events in Garrett's famous performance launched his career on the 1974 hit song Midnight at the Oasis by Maria Muldaur. His solo on the guitar in the song is thought to be among the most wonderfully composed solos in well-known music. In contrast to the combative and fast-paced solos that are frequently connected to era's rock music, Garrett's, the method was soft, flowing, and abundantly melodic. He displayed an amazing time and spatial awareness, enabling each to breathe and reverberate. Take a note. The capacity to play responsibly while still holding the interest of a listener is what distinguishes him from numerous guitarists. The way Garrett dressed contradicted conventional rock norms. Jimmy Page was one of the people who really liked Garrett's strategy. Page, renowned for his unique style of playing, acknowledged that Garrett's work went beyond the bounds of traditional rock, guitar adopting a more sophisticated poetic quality. Garrett's wording, strings expressiveness, and tone bend helped create a tone that was at the same time subtle and incredibly poignant. In contrast to many guitarists who depend on quickness or technological fireworks to dazzle, the focus of Garrett's playing is touch and sense. His mastery of dynamics enables. He can move fluidly between delicate moments that resemble whispers and strong lines that resonate. This command of dynamics and the way he articulates it lends his performing such a distinctive and moving personality. When it's past midnight at the Oasis, Garrett has established a lengthy career as a solo performer and studio musician, helping to create a variety of recordings in folk, jazz, blues, and rock. His versatility in combining different genres eloquently conveys his profound musical comprehension and adaptability. Whether supporting a vocalist with gentle fills in the atmosphere or providing a soulful, bluesy solo, Garrett always favors musicality over ostentation. He has an impact on the playing, among numerous modern guitarists who look for to strike a balance between technical proficiency and in-depth manifestation of emotion. Although ostentatious shredding might briefly capture the ear, it's the style of performance that Garrett represents, considerate, subtle, and profoundly expressive, leaving a lasting influence. Elliot Randall might not be all-known figure. Such as some of his peers, however, his contributions to rock is unquestionably, in contrast to many of his peers who concentrated mostly on rock with a blues influence, Beck steadily changed, integrating jazz fusion components, instrumental electronic music, as well as rock into his playing. His expressive, flowing method, which mostly depended on loudness swells and finger-picking, set him other than the conventional guitar heroes. Throughout the years, he continued to be an mysterious individual, never settling into one look, and consistently pressing the limits of the guitar's capabilities. His contributions to albums such as 1975's Blow Be Blow and Wired 1976 demonstrated his readiness to investigate instrumental music, impacting guitarists for centuries. Clapton. Eric Clapton, well known for his enduring affinity for the blues, established a renowned career in bands like John Mayall, the Yardbirds, and Cream, Derek, the Blues Breakers, and the Dominoes prior to becoming a prosperous career as a single person. His performance was marked by a depth of feeling, accuracy, as well as a strong musical sense. The ability of Clapton to mix British rock featuring blues from America, he became one of the most admired guitarists in history. Despite the fact that he peaked in the 1960s and 1970s, he kept releasing music and give a live performance, showing that rock was influenced by the blues power stayed timeless. The name is Alvin Lee. Most renowned for being the frontman for 10 years, later became well known for his blazing quickness and technical proficiency. His appearance at Woodstock 1969, especially the thrilling performance I'm Going Home, solidified his reputed to be among the fastest musicians of his time, as opposed to Beck or Clapton, who frequently tended to experimenting or being authentically blues. Lee used a high-octane fusion strategy of boogie and blues rock, highlighting velocity and vitality. However, he never achieved the same level of commercial success as he added several of his contemporaries to play music and capture it well into the 21st century, demonstrating that his enthusiasm for the instrument never faded. Pete Townshend. The imaginative Pete Townshend, the driving force behind The Who, transformed rhythm guitar, using his aggressive power chord and windmill usagey strumming method, as well as creative method for writing songs. In contrast to many of his peers who concentrated on, Townshend was more intrigued by soloing, in songs' general structure employing the guitar as a storytelling tool as well as sonic experimenting. His innovative application of concept albums and synthesizers, like Tommy and Quadrophenia, 1969, 1973 revealed his vision for the future, attitude toward music. Even in later life, he continued to be involved with the WHO, keeping up the performances and releasing new substance. Regarding these musicians, Jimmy Page's convictions expressed in his assertion, "I think every guitar." The player has something special by nature regarding their performance. They simply must determine what distinguishes them and cultivate it. It reflects not just his individual philosophy, but additionally the wider spirit of invention in rock guitars. This realization explains why Page emerged as one of the most significant his generation's musicians and the reasons Hestel retains several guitarists in elevated regards. The career of Page, which began with his working as a session musician in his early years, innovative efforts with the Yardbirds, it eventually caused Zeppelin to coincide during a time of swift changes in popular music. Prior to becoming a worldwide Page, a rock star, became known as among the most popular sessions British guitarists. By the early London's recording studios in the 1960s were teeming with gifted musicians who featured on popular records, frequently without being acknowledged by the public. Page, along with yet another fruitful session, Big Jim Sullivan, a guitarist, became one among the most sought-after players during this time frame. Page's work session saw he adds to recordings for a large many musicians, such as The Who, Donovan, and The Kinks. His flexibility and his technical expertise enabled him to transition between blues, pop, rock, and even orchestral compositions. This encounter not only refined his musical abilities, but additionally exposed him to several recordings methods, forming the inventive strategy he would subsequently present to lead the studio albums of Zeppelin. In 1966, Page made the switch from the studio for a live show when he joined the Yardbirds, initially as the first as a bassist and subsequently as two-lead guitarist with Jeff Beck. Following Beck's, Page took over as the only lead after guitarist and assisted in leading the group toward a louder tone. But by 1968, the group was about to collapse, giving Page the responsibility of completing unfinished tour duties. Rather than merely putting together a temporary lineup, Page recognized a chance to make something fresh. He hired drummer John, singer Robert Plant, and Bonham and John Paul, the bassist, keyboardist Jones, creating what was once referred to as the New Yardbirds. Not long after, they changed their name to Led Zeppelin. That would eventually be used interchangeably with rock music in general. Zeppelin was swiftly led by, became one of the most prosperous and the most innovative rock bands ever. Page's goals for the team went beyond, unlike traditional blues rock, adding folkloric elements, Eastern influences, and psychedelic elements. His creative application of recording methods, for instance, combining many guitar recordings and playing around with the microphone positioning aided in the band's distinctive sound. During Zeppelin's throughout her career, Page was the band's main producer and songwriter. His guitar playing on songs such as Whole Lot of Kashmir, Love, Stairway to Heaven, and Achilles' Final Stand established new benchmarks. For playing rock guitar, combining unprocessed strength with complex artistry. But the inconvenient John Bonham, drummer, passed away in 1980, signified Led Zeppelin's demise. Instead, rather than carry on without him, the others members decided to split up, ending the chapter about one of the most renowned rock groups. After Led Zeppelin's dissolution, Page investigated a number of musical endeavors during the 1980s and the 1990s, working with a range of creatives. In this time frame, Page furthermore took part in a number of guest performances, keeping up the demonstration. His lasting impact on the rock industry. In 2007, Led Zeppelin got back together, for a remarkable one-time performance at the O2 Arena in London, featuring John Bonham's Jason Bonham, his son, taking his dad's put on drums. The performance was an enormous success, resulting in the publication of the Celebration Day movie from 2012, which documented the thrilling performance. Page joined The Edge of You a year later, Jack White of The White Stripes, and To In the D documentary It Might Get released in 2008, where the three guitarists are loud talked about their techniques, influences, and ideas about playing. The movie is a close-up view of Page's phase of creation and confirmed his rank among the most inventive historical guitarists. The Page's rock music has benefited from the contributions of generally acknowledged by musicians, critics, as well as admirers. The magazine Rolling Stone has continuously placed him in the greatest guitarists in history, citing he was riffing as the pontiff of power. In their 2015 ranking of the top 100 among all guitarists, Page was positioned third place, only surpassed by Jimi Hendrix and Clapton, Eric. This ranking was confirmed in 2023 by the Rolling Stones update, in which he once more obtained the third place, this time after Chuck Jimmy and Barry Hendrix. His impact but goes beyond numbers rankings. Page's unique voice, creative methods, and more expansive than. The presence of life stages has influenced the basis of rock music. What do you consider Jimmy Pa's preferred guitarists? Please share your thoughts with us in the part that follows. We hope that you have discovered this useful video. Remember, please subscribe, like, and share the channel if it appeals to you. Many thanks for viewing, and I'll see you in the upcoming videos. Farewell.